It's time for all things racing and Jesus with your hosts, Daniel Hillian and Mitch Reynolds.
That's right. It is episode 54 here from the 55th annual Pine Lake National. As always, I've got my main man, Mr. Speed, Mitchell the Rocket Reynolds. How you doing, Mitchell?
Mr. Speed, that must be a new one. But I'm doing good, Super D. Got to spin some laps. That track is freaking awesome. So I had a blast out there, man.
Yeah, I did too. I got to ride Kyle Scott's bike. He's got COVID again, so that's still a real thing out in the world today. Who knew?
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about that, but go ahead.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, I ran into Danny Walton, and he goes, "Hey, start calling Mitch Mr. Speed." And I said, "Okay, you got it. No problem."
Miss Francesco is Super Speed for those of you who know Cars references, so I'm not so sure about that. But if he means a person who monkeys all over the bike and has a lot of fun out there, then he's right.
Right. Well, hey, off the top here, as always, got to give it up to all the sponsors that make it possible. We're actually going to bring on a new sponsor tonight. He doesn't know about it yet, but it's going to happen. I'll let that carrot kind of dangle there. But as always, Miss Debbie Bartosik, Lover, 88 Live to Ride. Their auction is coming up here at Loretta's in less than a month. So mark your calendars. Get down to Loretta's. It's going to be a great time. Some knucklehead named Rylan Johnson has a program out there. He builds all kinds of stuff. I'm just kidding. RJR, big-time sponsor. Love him to death. All-Terrain Motorsports, 110% nutrition. Make sure to use our code REMAIN at checkout to save. Phoenix Handlebars, use our code RITR15 to save. Mitch, me and you both got to rep the Sofa brand MX gear tonight here at Pine Lake.
Always
awesome.
Comfortable, always quick getting that stuff on. You know, standing up there and Keister said, "Are you riding this weekend?" I said, "Yeah," in the adult 90 class. He said, "No, a big machine." And I said, "Well, I don't have one, but I do have gear." And he said, "Right over there." I said, "I'll be back." So I went and talked to Steve. I got dressed in like 2 minutes and went out for pro practice.
Good to go, man.
You know, that Sofa brand, you can get that gear on pretty quick.
Yep, it is fast. I did it as well. RTRP is the code to save. PH3 Photo and Video, Josh Klein is with us today. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching us live. So, hey, Josh Klein behind the camera. Appreciate that.
Live, a few days delayed or something like that.
Yeah, this will be
however,
out on...
However that works.
Yeah, it's whatever. Anyways, Kaiser wheels, man. They're the lightest. They're the best wheels on the market. They're fantastic. Chucky Creech putting them on the podium. You can't go wrong with Kaiser wheels. Chuck even runs the mud plugs in TT. Aerodynamics. It just makes sense.
Cody Houghton had them going on. He's got Harold Goodman here with him this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, getting that bike dialed in. So if Harold says it's good, it's probably good.
So here's something. Here's a fun bit of news for you. Cody Houghton is running the Elka Hauser package with the Yamaha power plant. You know who else does really good? Different shocks, but that same combination? The 301 of Melissa Torchio.
She does know her way around the track.
She knows what's up.
We'll see how Cody does this weekend. Maybe some people are wanting, maybe they'll reach out to Mr. Mark Baldwin here and say, "Hey, listen, I'm going to need this Yamaha dirt bike motor off in my chassis to really crank it around the track," because we know he knows how to tune these Yamahas to scream.
That's true. So we have we can't wait any longer. The famous Mark Baldwin. What's up, Mark? How are you?
Just here at good old Pine Lake. We're at home, man.
Yeah.
Home for me. Been here for a lot of years.
Yeah, your shop is just, 4 miles, 5 miles, not that far.
Yeah,
and by home, he literally means home is right up the hill here.
That is correct, Mitch. I grew up across the street here, my grandfather's farm, and my original shop was not even a half mile from here, and this is where it all started. And been coming down here, since the mid-'70s, you know. So
So I'd seen an interview with you before, Mark, and you said that y'all would actually, when the lake froze over, that you would ice race here or ride on the ice. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct, Mitch. And, you know, when Mr. Fisher, of course everybody called him Wild Man or Bill, was alive, this place was happening even more than it is today, you know, as far as just like on the regular weekends. And we used to come down here and they go out on the lake out here when it's froze up and plow the snow off with the six-wheeler, and there'd be 25, 30 of us down here riding on a Saturday night and in the building here. A wild man would have a good old fire going, and just, of course, Bud and Dave's mom, her name was Hoppy, and she'd have food here, and there was always a Pepsi machine over there, and just whatever you wanted. And it was just an absolute riot down here, and just years and years of fun. And just, I don't know, it seems like young people just don't do that anymore, you know. And
I'm trying to put this. I've got to go up with my mic more. I don't have headphones on, so I don't have feedback. So
sorry, we're shooting from the hip here.
We're
Mitch is trying to talk out the side of his mouth. It's not working.
Well, I can't look at Mark and talk at the same time. But anyway, so I'm trying to put all this together, like out here with your buddies, having a great time. You come up here with a fire, have whatever food you want, whatever drink you want, having a good time. But riding on ice is something foreign to us Southern guys, us rednecks. We've never done that, but that sounds like a ton of fun.
You know what? It was an absolute blast, and it was very similar to TT racing. But we never studded the tires up or anything. It was just good old stock Honda balloon tires, and 200X ones I think were the hot one to have. So everybody chased around to look for those things. They'd hook up better in the snow, But it was just there's a lot of similarities. But you're too young. You never rode any of them dang 3-wheelers. Those things you just had to hang it out there.
No, I tend to think that I'm one who hangs it out there, but I never got on the 3-wheeler. I mean, I've had some people ask me, they're like, with the way you lean off the machine, like you need to get on one. I'm like, the good thing about 4 wheels is once that right rear catches, like you've got 2 wheels in the front to kind of counterbalance you a little bit. I'm sure that I would probably go tumbling through the sweeper lake if I did that.
Hey, also joining us is a return guest from season 1, Eric Ashcraft. What's up, Eric, at the end of the table?
How's it going, Super D?
It's going well, man. We're going to be going live tomorrow. So, I don't know why I'm telling you this on a Friday. The people are listening to this.
We like going live. Yep.
You can go back on EDT Channel's live stream and catch all the action. But welcome back, Eric. Glad to have you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Man,
good to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome, dude. Just coming back. I can remember my first time coming here. I don't have the memories like you, Mark, but I just remember driving down and seeing the longest straightaway I'd ever seen in my entire life. I mean, we were rednecks from Arkansas, and it was like, man, that's like a football field long. Yeah. And we're going to run out of gear at the flag stand, and just to see how the track has changed. It's cool to see there's a little bit of an off-camber over there again this year. Did you notice that?
Ooh, that brings it back. The off-camber in the middle of the track for all those years, that was the first thing I saw. I'm like, what is this jump over here? And then once I started circulating some laps, I'm like, oh, man, that takes me back to just, it was scooted over a little bit, but the off-camber was a staple here.
That Polish turn, as they called it, that was definitely a staple here, as well as the bowl that we used to get down through, and that just became a maintenance nightmare for them, and they had to take it out. But that was iconic, and we went through there with a lot of 3-wheelers, a lot of 4-wheelers, and quite a few rental cars too. It's pretty amazing.
I've seen some videos of the rental cars, and it was definitely one of those deals. Buy the full insurance.
That was the crash and dash insurance. Just ask Wayne Meridian from PEP. He always bought it, and I'll tell you, one year we put so many laps. Well, Tim Farr was driving most of the time, and Shane Hitt had to ride passenger, and I was in the back seat. But we put so many laps on that rental car of Wayne's. It was old Thunderbird. There were no skid plates underneath it when he took it back to the airport. They were in the trunk, but there was about a half inch of dust on the interior by the back window. And the best part was the tires looked like you guys run them in TT all weekend long because they were all feathered off. It was crazy.
That is great.
But like 55 mile an hour into that bowl in a rental car was pretty cool.
Yeah. Rip that e-brake a little bit, put a little slide on there, or just send it.
Just send it.
They definitely, I mean, I don't even remember who put those videos out there, but as a kid, I watched that so much, just sending it right off the ball. Just down the straightaway.
I'm pretty sure that was some Wes Miller videos with old Harold Goodman, and
the old H-bomb films.
Old H-bomb films, yep.
Yep, that was good stuff. Again, just pausing the action here. Mitch, you got to keep that mic right in front of you, dude. These guys are our guests, and they're crushing it.
Okay, I'm scooting back.
That's fine. You can do whatever you need to.
So I've gotten so spoiled to having a boom and a mic right in my face, and my hands are free.
Sorry.
I can do what I want when I want to do it.
I'll quit.
I've got to adjust here. I'm just going to have to be back and forth with my hands because y'all can't ever see me when we're recording.
Well, it is funny. So we're doing a live podcast. We've got some fans here. What's up, everybody? Y'all give us a little cheer. Woo, yeah, okay. We got Miss Guys passing out Capri Suns to everybody. I mean, it's a riot in here. And so we're all talking into microphones. I'm wearing headphones. You guys aren't, and it's kind of weird. It's a little weird. I'm gonna be honest, but We're having a good time.
You look a little weird over there. But hey,
yeah,
we're having a
good time.
I just want to make sure nothing happens. But hey, man, let's talk some flat track racing. Let's talk TT racing. Mark, let's call it what it is. It's not
right.
flat track. It is TT racing.
That's right. We're getting rid of the EDT term, all of that, like we have any pool. But TT racing, that's what we're going back to.
TT racing. Yep,
sure.
absolutely.
What does TT stand for?
Technical track.
Wrong.
touring.
Okay, I failed.
What's
at
it
that
say in the
one.
crowd? No.
What was it?
No.
Time.
Tourist trophy.
Tourist. That's
I knew there was trophy
That's-
in there.
that's-
Tourist
Tour-
trophy.
Tourist trophy is what TT
Tourist
stands
trophy.
for.
You've been wrong this whole time.
I have
You've
been
lied
wrong.
for
Mitchell's
years.
touring.
I have
but
been living a
tourist,
lie
yeah.
all my life. Tourist trophy. So break down tourist trophy. Do you,
No clue. Ask, ask
clue.
Roy. Ask the guy that was the predecessor to Roy Jansen.
Okay.
Roy Jansen, I think, is the oldest guy left at AMA.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Or I'm sorry, he works for
I'm gonna
Racer
have-
Productions.
So what year
but,
was that?
probably the 60s. I don't know, or 50s
Well,
maybe.
I mean,
It's
we're
a long time
celebrating
ago.
55 years of it, so
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
let's.
yeah,
dive into it. Sorry, we really threw Mitch off. He's having to make notes now on the laptop
I mean,
here.
I mean, it's 2024.
it's
Can't
like
we just say
you-
TT is technical
Yeah.
track?
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
can.
I've lived 30 years of my life as a lie.
yeah,
I mean,
I knew
just-
it had trophy
just-
in it.
Yeah.
I just had it all.
I thought it
wrong.
was technical trophy.
Tourist trophy.
Tourist trophy. Okay, so I don't know. And I had a rant. By the way, Kenny Bullington, still waiting on you to come up with a name to sponsor our segment. I thought we could go with the. What did I tell you today? I got to look it up. The
snake bite segment or
the snake bite suggestions or something like that. I don't remember. But people will post like, "Hey, we're having a flat track race in Michigan or Indiana or Kentucky, whatever." And for most people, they're like, "Oh, that's like what Pine Lake is, where there's left and right turns." And then you'll look on pictures and you're like, "This is just an oval track." And it's like, for me, I don't know about you guys, and I'm not knocking anybody that races oval track. That's perfectly fine. Do your thing. But I'm like, I'm not going to drive 9 hours to turn left. Like, so let's call flat track. If flat track is going to be oval track racing, that's fine. Let's let it be what it is. But TT is what Pine Lake is. TT is what Just Passing Through is, or 421, or Black Ankle. Those are TT tracks. Let's call it what it is.
Correct.
I feel
yeah.
Mark agrees. Eric agrees. I've got all the support I need. Mitch, you agree?
I agree, but I'm still over here like just baffled.
Baffled.
You're confused most of the
and
time.
holding the mic incorrectly. Yeah.
doesn't take much.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You know, that's pretty hollow in there. So
Well-
I've got something else stored up in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Now I
with
know.
this being 55 years, Eric, do you remember your first trip here to
What are you trying to
Pine
say?
Lake?
I'm old or what?
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a
he's
little
talking.
gray, there's a little gray
how old do you
bleed
think
through
I
there.
am? Yeah, my
Eric's
first
a
trip.
crisp 34.
My first trip was 1988, so I do remember.
88.
Yeah.
So, and Mark, you said 70.
Well, yeah, I would
Ish.
come 77, 78 was when I started coming down here, but I wasn't racing at that point. I guess probably the first race I would have done would have been 81 was when I started racing.
Gotcha.
An old ATC 250R, which of course I bought from the Fisher family because they had the Honda dealership, and we would race stock class and modified.
That was air cooled, right?
Oh yeah, air cooled,
Air-cooled.
good old air cooled unit. But you know the difference between stock and modified was we put a silencer on it and changed rear tires. That was it. And,
modified.
That's a modified. That is correct. Yep, it was good. Good
That
stuff.
is awesome.
Good
What
way to-
tires did you run back then?
Man, something off the back of a lawnmower.
Lawnmower, that's what I figured.
Yeah, RAs or something like that. I think they were. I can't remember. That was a long time ago.
That is.
I probably still have a set of them though because I hoard everything. Just ask anybody that's been to my shop, they'd know. So.
That's what's crazy about, like, you think about, like, the old tires and stuff. And I can remember, you know, they're getting ready to do the Legends race at Briarcliff this coming
Oh, yeah.
weekend. Thinking about that, looking at some of those old pictures, do you remember, and I know you guys do, but the front tires, there was literally a car trailer tire that you would just hog out and
Yes.
make your own pattern?
Good old Riken radials, man.
Riken radials.
Riken radials with turf tamers. That was a hot tire.
Or the turf tamer, you'd knock half the knobs off
Oh, yeah.
to get
Yep.
some gription in there.
Yep.
Man, that was a good time.
That was-
The crowd is pouring in here now. It is getting rowdy up here in
Yeah.
the Fisher building.
You're
But
going to need to settle down out there
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit. Calm down, boys.
Yeah, but okay, going back to kind of the beginning, Mark. So how many years did you race, and who was kind of the first guy? I think I know, but just for our listeners, who was the first guy that you really took Baldwin Racing, went racing as that group of people?
Well, I raced 81 through about 87, 88, and kind of realized I competed in a, let's see here, it would have been in 85. I started racing the three-wheeler in a professional class, and I was mainly a flat track or TT guy.
TT,
Yeah, TT guy.
TT
guy. I wasn't a motocross guy, so I'd race against Marty and Jimmy. But I mean, back then those guys, there was 40 guys trying to qualify, and I'd always be like 22nd or 23rd. So I didn't make, I think, only but a couple main events. But I realized at that point when you're competing against, I was just this farm kid from across the street from Pine Lake, and I was trying to compete against, Marty Hart and Curtis and all those guys that rode for Honda, and Jimmy White that was riding for Kawasaki, and Donnie Luce that rode for Cowie as well, now with Yamaha. And those guys were my idols, and I was trying to keep up with them, and I realized that age, I was only 17, 18 years old, and realized that if you were going to compete and win, you couldn't ride, be your own mechanic, and all that stuff.
Right.
And so I continued to compete here locally, did a lot of nationals, Deerfield, Ohio. Man, I made a ton of laps around that place. It was just awesome. And a lot of the guys, Joel Hetrick, here he is, 2024. He raced at Deerfield back in the day with his dad, and but at any rate, in a Deerfield, I'll go back to that. Sorry, guys, but it was Shane Hitt was there. Tim Farr was there with me. Tommy Farr was there as well. And to answer your question, I guess Tommy, which was Tim's older brother, is who I really started helping first. He bought an 86 250 or TRX 250R, and I started helping him with that and building the engine, and I built my own sway bars and stuff at that point, and that's who I really started with. And Tim was a few years younger. He had an old 185S or a 200X at that point, I forget, but he would go to the races as well. And then Tommy got hurt. Actually here at Pine Lake, back on a motocross track in the woods, messed his knee up. He was riding a CR250 dirt bike, which
quad guys stay off dirt bikes.
If he wasn't riding that dirt bike, he would stay.
Brothers, stay off dirt bikes.
If he would have just been riding that couch,
that's right.
He'd have been all right. But
I disagree.
Or a road bike. You could ride a road bike, mountain bike, anything but dirt bikes. Stay off of them.
But at any rate, he got hurt, and then I started helping Tim some more, and I guess he had a 200X at that time, and we did a little bit of stuff, and then he was his dad and mom bought him an 87 200X, and I started helping him build the engines on that because Tim's father had a good friend here in town that actually built, his name was Nick Deljonis, and he built a bunch of flat track motors for actually Mike Kidd, who ran Boyd Raceway.
I've heard of down in Texas.
Yep, down in Texas,
Yep.
and I think he actually did some work for Kenny Roberts too, and he gave me a few pointers and things to do, and we started going racing. So realistically, it happened up here in my parents' basement at my mom and dad's house, and that's where it all started.
See, I knew I liked Tim Farr. I've got this beef that younger brothers are better than older brothers because I'm a younger brother, and Tim's a younger brother. So I knew it. I knew that's why.
Those
makes sense.
Those two guys did a lot of riding. I mean, we had some good gravel pits here in North Kingsville where they turned a lot of laps, and they rode a lot of different things, and some of the stuff we rode back in those days wasn't real good, and that's honestly probably one of the reasons Tim was as good a rider as he was, because he could adapt to
just anything
that he threw his leg over, and anything he threw his leg over or sat in the driver's seat, he could drive it or ride it.
Man, you make a good point there, Mark. We were this was a couple years ago, but we were working with a guy and young kid coming up, and we're like, hey, this, you kind of see certain guys, and you're like, man, that's a guy I want to help, or you just connect personalities, whatever. And I remember Dad going, hey man, we're just going to go out and trail ride, and he was like, what? He's like, where's the track at? And Dad goes, well, we're just trail riding. He's like, I've never done that before. And it was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how have you never just got on a recon and just ripped through the woods? He's like, I've never done that.
A lot of people forget that side of it. And, when you're out ripping through the woods and riding a recon, sometimes you learn some things,
Yep.
And
suspension matters, number one.
Suspension matters. Yeah, that does matter. But, and so many of these guys get so centered and focused on just burning motos or whatever, but sometimes you just got to go ride for fun.
Yeah.
Because instead of jumping those jumps the same way and everything, do them backwards, go side of them, whatever. It just, you learn something from doing that. But sometimes you get so focused on that same old routine, you lose your focus,
Well, Thomas and I were having this conversation a while back when he was working with the Ford boys. And, he's just talking about, we would call it goon riding. So we would have a day, we had done our motos or whatever, and we would go out and just literally just try to see how many goofy ways we could jump and do different things and just basically learning to manipulate the machine. But he's like, these boys never goon ride. Like, I don't know that they can ride a wheelie type deal, like that was kind of his, the feedback he gave me. And he's like, so they started doing a little bit of that, like just riding wheelies and just learning how to maneuver yourself on the machine. I feel like a lot of how I learned how to ride was spending so much time on a pit bike. Like I rode pit bikes nonstop every day, figure out which way I could jump them and turn them and all this. And it just kind of translated over to, whatever you want to call the style of racing that I do. It's all over the place.
I agree 100%, Mitch. And sometimes you learn some things doing that, and you realize how much fun you can have doing it and being a goon, But there's a lot to be said for that, and it can't hurt.
That's right. It is, and it's the best of times too. We actually at Pleasure Valley, we had gone to a money race there one time, and so it was. John Natale showed up, so we knew he was going to take all of our money.
What's a money race?
So
because the amateur guy like me, there was never money on the table to be won. You're just setting money on fire to do this sport that we love.
What you consider a money race isn't
what's a money race?
Not your local event where you can win $100 or a couple $100 or $500. It would be a local race where they've gathered up quite a bit of money, and it's it's a couple grand to win. Maybe it's $5,000 to win. And so a group of us went out there, me and Thomas Brown, J.R. Hines, I believe he was out there. But then Natale showed up, and we're like, well, we're not going to win the money now. I mean, he's going to take the money. So then we were like, okay, since all of us are pretty equal as far as second place, what we're going to do is we're going to go out in this rhythm section that comes up by the spectators. We're going to goon ride, and they're going to judge us. And it doesn't matter
during the race.
During the race. It doesn't matter who gets second. Whoever has the best goon score gets the second place money behind Natale because he's half a track ahead of us.
Yeah, he's lapping you guys, and y'all are just
pretty much lapping us. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
And if J.R. Hines getting into freestyle and all that stuff, like he obviously was much better than us.
You could say, I got J.R. in the freestyle. Could you say that?
No, I didn't win.
No, okay.
I would. In any capacity.
I would definitely say that.
I tried, but anyway, so it's just a goon riding story for you.
Well, you talk about it. Go ahead, Mark.
JR could definitely win that. He's still a goon.
Yes, he was the epitome of a goon for sure.
So you talk about your first trip here, Mark. Eric, tell me about your first trip here to Pine Lake.
So my first trip was, like I said, 1988, and I was riding a Suzuki Quad Sport 230 in the 4-stroke class. Yeah.
Remember that recon we were talking about earlier? I think that
was the
recon
lone
would take
rider,
the 230.
It didn't really. It wasn't running right, so
from the factory.
Pretty much, pretty much. I pretty much was a spectator that
on
race.
The track.
We did get it figured out by the Worcester race there in Orville. So.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
I did well there. I actually finished second in my heat there with some pretty top riders.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Hoosier Tri-Tracks?
Yeah, the Hoosier Tri-Tracks.
Yeah. Probably old Sid was selling them to you?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, so the other day I said something about, Tri-Tracks, and someone looked at me and said, what? And apparently, I guess, Gold Speed, they go, you talking about Gold Speeds? And I said, no, Tri-Tracks, that tire right there. And someone rode by on them, and they're like, they had no idea what a Tri-Track was. I'm like, what?
Hoosier,
so Gold Speed did copy that years later, but it had like a center strip through it, so it didn't have just the triangular pattern all the way through there. Right. But yes, the only track I ever rode those at was Sykeston Race Park. Yeah.
Sandbox.
Like, moon it out right there, so you got this like crazy edge, and that would dig in the sand.
That's right.
Yep.
So come to Pine Lake, doesn't go well, but you're hooked.
I was hooked, for sure. I had run some local tracks there around home and been to Deerfield. Deerfield was one of my favorite tracks, really smooth. And I did run some flat track, Mitch. I ran some flat track here in Ohio. There was
So
a couple
you did
tracks.
oval
Matthias.
racing.
Yeah, Deerfield actually I think
Okay.
had an oval as well, didn't it?
Making sure we're getting our terms correct, guys. We just had this conversation.
So I called it flat track. It was an oval.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Some local tracks at home and started doing really well there. So I thought, well, let's try some nationals, and I did all right. I mean, I held my own for a little 2-valve 230.
Did you though?
I did.
Super
did.
D.
Nobody believes me. Look
no,
at this.
no,
Super D's
everyone here is
laughing.
just
Hey,
laughing.
that's it. I'm
Everyone.
going to get my videos, and I'm going to show you.
Your
I'm going to show
VHSs?
you. Yes. I do. I have it all on VHS, so I'm dating myself. My dad, God rest his soul, my dad videoed every race that I ever went to.
He had a
And I
suitcase
think
on his
that's
shoulder.
why I have such a love for it today. That's why I love doing what I do. I really do. I mean, I think he instilled that in me a long, long time ago. But he video, and if somebody would wreck the video was way over. He'd film the sky, the ground.
Yeah, because he's watching the wreck and he's
made
holding
it a point.
the camera.
I made it a point. I won't do that. I'm going to
Yeah.
stay right on that rider.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to see those wrecks.
No one can doubt your commitment. Marinating in the sun with your arm up,
Yes.
just like this,
Yes.
many rounds, and we have appreciated that for a
piece of
long
bacon.
time. And
real,
but
yeah,
you got a little
yeah.
upgrade at Dresden. You got to upgrade.
We did.
For
We
sure.
were
It
spoiled.
was nice.
We were spoiled.
We were
got
spoiled. at Dresden.
spoiled.
We got Texas Roadhouse delivered.
Yeah.
We got Dairy
Yeah,
Queen
we
delivered.
were spoiled to the
It
hilt.
was amazing.
Yeah, and
Air
it was
conditioning.
that was an epic live feed though.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
That was an epic
Well,
live
it's
feed.
not epic when Super D's part
Right.
of it.
Exactly.
You know,
Well,
he's
yeah,
there.
I mean,
for
I don't
sure.
know.
You never know,
Come on.
You never
especially
know.
late at night. You never know what he's going to
A
say.
lot of song lyrics come out.
Yeah.
Goofiness and shenanigans.
Kentucky was fun too.
Kentucky was fun.
Yeah.
It was. We had a good time up there. PIR. It's a great racetrack.
Yes.
Wow, good old Paducah, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They brought
Mitchell,
it back
remember
a
when
couple
your
years
motorhome
ago.
quit there?
Yes.
When we got flooded?
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Oh,
That is.
geez.
Okay, so I kind of paint the picture here. I drove a flaming rig before. It literally had flames on it. It was this flat nose bus.
Was that the extreme rig?
The extreme rig. Yes, an
Oh,
extreme
my.
on the side had these flames.
Yeah.
It was a rig. You know, I don't know. I mean, Mark had some sweet
Bone
machines in
Got
there.
a Deal is the type of rig this was.
No deal. They literally sponsored it. They were like, here, you fix
Gave
it
it
up.
to
You
you.
take it to the races like for free. Yeah. When I started driving it, you understood why. But I drove that thing all the way to upstate New York. I mean, Dad, he just sent me in it. But anyway, so Paducah is built in a pretty low area.
It's a floodplain.
It's in a
It's a
floodplain.
floodplain,
Yeah.
okay.
So it starts raining, and you wake up in the morning, and everyone's rubber boots are floating off. Okay, so everyone's just trying to exit Paducah as quick as they can. So here we are in this, front wheel, flat nose, flaming rig. And
Generators everywhere. Cords running through the water.
yes, it was quite the sight.
That's
awesome.
not the best part, but go
But-
on, man.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you
yeah.
the rest.
So we're going, we're trying to get out there. You're pushing water, and we go across this little lower spot in the road, and the thing goes and just dies. And we're like, what do we do? So the motor's here between the two seats, and Dad's on the phone. I don't know who all he calls. He calls you. Does he
No,
call
he
you?
didn't call me. He called JB.
Okay, he calls JB. He's like, this thing sucked water, and the water's rising. Like, we've got to do something. So we figured out that the air intake was down by the front tire. So we go down and take it loose, and then Dad's taking this thing apart and somehow pumping water out of this thing. So, I mean, it
Wow.
was absolutely incredible.
And there
the
was one
water
road in and
was
out,
just,
right?
Yeah, just steadily rising this entire time. All I can say is my dad's an incredible man, because
Yeah.
I would have panicked. I would have said, let's get the machines out of here. Extreme rig, sayonara.
Well, let me just add a little bit to that, though. So we back up before Mitch started to move his truck, and the boots were floating in the water. I actually had the same rig that I have currently, and we were at that race. I opened the door, and I think I had the only dry spot at the track. I look over. Not only did I see boots floating and the cords in the water, like you said,
Yep.
but all these snakes.
Oh,
I'm like,
I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Bye. Meanwhile, the promoter is telling us, oh, no, we're going to race. We got 18 feet of water inside this Paducah International Speedway, but we're going to go racing. Baloney, buddy.
Yeah.
So we were out of there.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But
Snakes.
that I still got pictures of that in my shop, and it was
Wow.
it was crazy.
What a memory.
And don't
Incredible.
ever want to go back to there.
No, man.
To
I
the flood, at least.
No,
I
if there's any
forgot about
rain,
the snakes.
get out of Paducah. as quick as you can.
In a hurry.
Well, they had to push it back this year because it flooded.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Good
right.
times. Good times. Oh man.
What memories? Well, Super D, you've been kind of going around the table and asking about memories of Pine Lake. I shared a little bit of my best memory. But what about you, man? I don't understand. I'm holding the mic right to my face.
He wants to trade you once.
I got to trade. This mic is kind of being janky, so I'm going to trade off with you. So I can ask a question, but I can't tell a story. My first trip here was 2002. So
Young buck.
yeah, y'all got 20 years on me here. But I can remember coming up. I think I was too young to be riding a big bike, but I definitely did in practice anyway, and just didn't say anything. I kind of looked like Tanner Terry out there. But it was great. Loved it. And then I can remember. This is kind of a funny story. So they used to have. That's a word, right? Y'all say that up here in Ohio?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Used to.
okay. So where the bowl used to be, at the bottom of the bowl, there was a porta potty. You may remember this. We had gone swimming out here all day, whatever. You pooped in the lake and it floated. That's a whole other story. It was a floater, not a sinker. Anyways, moving on. So you don't have a microphone. You can't defend yourself. So we had gone.
I don't remember this.
We had gone. Everybody would go up here to the TA and take a shower because nobody had a motorhome back then. I mean, that was insane. You know, we just lived in enclosed trailers. But we'd gone to take showers. We'd come back, and my dad and brother, my family is at the camper. Well, me, you, and a bunch of others. Thomas, I think, maybe JR, maybe even Cody Miller, Jay, several other guys. We were pretending like we were sitting up on the bowl hammered. And we would fall and roll down the hill and roll into the porta potty and then go in there and make it sound like we were just puking our guts up, okay? And we had the best time. It was hilarious. We were having just the best time. We were not drinking, not underage drinking, but we were pretending like it. And people were walking by and they were just like, yeah, rock on, man. And, they're just cheering us on.
Oh,
and so my mom calls my dad at the truck and she goes, hey, how's it going? So they're talking and she goes, hey, where's Daniel? And about that time, some people that had parked beside us said, hey, Papa Bear, you need to go check on your youngest son. Like, he is in the porta potty just puking his guts up. I think they've been down at the party. And my mom hears it all, and Dad's like, I got to go. And so I just come walking up later, and Dad goes, where you been? I was like, Dad, I got to tell you this great story. We were in just the same story I just told y'all. And he just sent my mom a text back and was like, he's fine. So that was my first trip to Pine Lake. It was great. I'll never forget it. It was so much fun. But the worst part was we'd just gone to take showers. Then we were rolling down that hill for an hour straight. And I was like, hey, can we go back to town? Dad's like, nope, you get to sleep disgusting. And so I got to sleep on the air mattress. But one thing nice about Pine Lake, I mean, we got the doors here in the building up. I mean, it's a beautiful night. It's great.
Well, what you could do is take your good bar of soap, go right down here
to
into the
lake.
water,
Yeah.
and in good old redneck fashion, you can take a shower down there. I've done it.
With all your friends.
And with all your friends.
I also heard there was little perch in there that like to nibble on toes and fingers and other
just definitely
body
keep your
parts.
pants on.
Moving on.
Yep.
This isn't that kind of podcast. So, hey, through the years, Mark, can you tell us maybe one of your best memories, one of the best battles you had here, one of the best ones that Timmy had here? What kind of sticks out to you over the years? Or it could be a couple of them. You decide. It's up to you.
Oh, wow. Probably one of the craziest memories I got here. It was actually when I was riding that good old, I think it was an 81 ATC 250, and the Honda guys were here, and Mark Waxeldorfer, I think that's how you say his last name, Mark Waxeldorf, came up to the starting line in the main event, and I'd won my heat race, and I was, they timed him at that point, and supposedly I was the fastest heat race, so I had number one pick. And at that point, the start line was up by the scoring tower, so I went up, had first choice, picked the line just off the edge of the grass, and that was at the point when Wildman used to do the lineup up there at the start line, and so second pick was Wax, and he rolled up and he tried to go the inside of me, and old Wildman just went crazy on him and told him there's no way in heck that he was going to take inside because I had already picked it, and I got first pick, and he was all kinds of upset about that, and wild man moved him over to the right-hand side of me. And that was probably one of the best memories. Well, not the best memory, but one of the good memories here, as far as I was concerned. But
like memorable person,
very, very memorable.
Like,
you know,
because
here
you looked up to,
the person I looked up to, and he was
you
riding.
set the fastest heat and get the gate pick like that.
Exactly. So that was pretty cool, you know. And again, just from a kid across the street here, you know. But so on to other memories. Man, there's just so many of them. I can't pick out one particular one, but I think probably with Tommy, with running a TRX 250R, we ran these Hoosier tires here one year. They were called we called them S-Link tires, but it was back at that point we had tri-tracks, and then it was on an 8-inch rim instead of a 10-inch rim, and that track got so tight back 15 years ago. You guys 25 years ago, you guys don't remember, but the track used to get a lot more rubber, and it was so hooked up. So we ran this S-Link tire on his 250, and those things just worked so good, and he just pulled the whole shot and checked out. So that was probably one of the best memories with him. And then with Timmy, probably, I don't remember what year it was, but it was the same year Dale Earnhardt won the Daytona 500. We won here finally, and Shane Hitt was a hard guy to beat.
98.
Would have been 98, Eric. Yeah, I don't remember what year it was. Too many things, but that was probably the best one. Yeah, just a lot of good memories. But
man, it's stepping back and just thinking when I was a kid, all the hours that I would just rewind and watch Shane and Timmy go around this place. Like, it's just ingrained in me how kids watch, reels and shorts, and I don't even know everything they do now, but I can just remember that VHS, just Jay and I just rewinding it and over watching those dudes circulate this track, and just think one day I'm going to be able to go fast like that.
Yeah, those two guys were artists, man, and they had a lot of confidence in each other. I'm still great friends with all of them, and Shane was at my place Sunday evening working on a bike for this Legends race, but those two guys, and you throw Keith in the mix, Keith Little that would be, but Shane and Tim, they were great friends. They rode together a lot, and they had confidence in each other, and they knew what each of them were going to do, and their strategies and all that stuff. And those cats, I remember racing one time at I-81 Speedway at a race that Sam Gammons put on down south of Johnson City, Tennessee. That it was an oval. We were doing flat track that night.
Yeah, yep.
And it was a banked. I think that was a 3/8 banked oval.
Yes, big, fast.
Big fast track down in a bowl. And man, those two guys went back and forth. And I'm telling you, you couldn't put a piece of paper between the front bumper and the rear grab bar of whoever was leading at whatever time. And Shane ended up winning because he was lighter than Tim was. He had 40 pounds on us, or we had 40 pounds on him, I should say. But those two guys were fierce competitors and just trusted each other. And I don't think there's been any other two riders in the pro class since then that probably had that much confidence in each other or trusted
that much
each other. That much history riding together, and those two dudes burned a lot of laps, and
they were totally, like, to me, they were different riding styles, because Shane was so small, and Tim's 6'2".
He's 6'1", 6'1". He's a big guy,
He's a big guy, and Shane's not, and just to watch them, I'm like, Mitch, dude, just to watch him. I remember just when the pro class came, whatever, open pro, everyone got along the fence just to watch those guys and mix in Tim.
We talk a lot about those two, but there was, like we said, Keith Little was fast.
Sorry, I said Tim, I meant Keith.
Yeah, Keith was fast with Shane and Tim, and Digger got pretty good there. Digger, Doug, Gust. There was.
But then Greg Baker would show up.
Yeah, then Greg Baker came on the scene and
with 15 swing arms.
He had
quarter-inch different length. Every one of them.
If he had 15, we probably had 16, but no. Hey, there was one point in time when
Baldwin Motorsports will not be beat.
But hey, there was one point in time when I had Justin White riding for me, and I was helping Justin. And his dad Fred there helped us a lot. Tim and I, that would be, and we had so darn many tires and setups for flat track and TT. we brought an extra 20-foot trailer just with tires and wheels in it. It was incredible. So, but I don't know. It was good times, man.
Man, what great memories. What great memories, Super
What
D.
about you, Eric? What's a great memory, whether it was here recently over the last couple of years, a good battle you filmed?
Mark brought up a good point. Those two had a lot of trust in each other, right? You were talking about,
for sure.
Yeah, Tim and Shane. And they probably raced for, 10 years at least? Or longer.
I was thinking 20.
Yeah, maybe
almost
longer.
20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you look at today, right? So you got Chucky Creech and you got Brad Riley. These guys have been racing together for a long time, and kind of the same scenario. They trust each other, and they raced hard. They were always right there, nose to tail. I can think of Kinston and Busco down in North Carolina, and those tracks that they were so accustomed to, kind of like these guys up here with Ashton.
And we got to see a little glimpse of that at Dresden in that
You
heat
did.
race.
You did.
Oh,
That's how it used to be, man.
I think we were losing our minds because we're like, oh
Yeah.
man, this takes us back a day or two.
It was good to see.
Chucky and Brad were just really, really going at it, and it came down to, I think, as Brad was coming out of the Joker, whether he was going to get Chucky or not.
The Joker's a whole new element compared to what it used to be, back in the day. So.
And honestly, guys, I mean, I don't come to as many TT events as I wish I could. I don't have the time, and so I haven't seen the riders in the last 7-8 years as much as you all have, So, and you bring up that Joker lane, guys. I'm telling you, I wish we'd do that in motocross. And it's I've questioned about doing it, but I'll be honest with you. 20 years ago here, if you pull the whole shot, you're gonna win. If you don't make a mistake.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it was very difficult for me to watch sometimes because it just was kind of boring. Just go out there and get the whole shot and run 20 laps. You're winner chicken dinner.
Well, and people could set their machine up.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm going to get
Yeah.
the start and just be a roadblock.
Yeah, exactly. And they've added this Joker lane here, and it's awesome.
It
and
is.
It makes interesting
Close racing.
Yeah, close
Yeah.
racing,
Close
interesting racing. And,
Well, and there's strategy with it
yeah,
too. If
absolutely.
you don't get a good start, take it now.
Yeah.
Wait till the end, because there's guys that can not lead a lap and win the race,
100%.
except for the last
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
That's right.
We got to
And
lead
I-
that last one.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
right.
that
Yeah,
happened here in the last 10 years where that was the case. Maybe Wolf, I think, was the one he didn't lead a single lap and took the Joker correct and won the race at the very end. And I'll tell you, from the rider's standpoint, it does something mentally to you. It's one thing to think, well, it's a pretty one-line track. If I can get a good start, I can just you can actually kind of hold back a little bit and try to ride conservative, right? Well, that Joker, you can't. You have to just put in lap after lap. And then when it's going through your mind of when you're going to take it, you want to hit every corner before that to not lose the spot or not lose any time. So it really adds not only a different dynamic for, the mechanics, everyone watching, but mentally the rider on the racetrack. It's a different animal, and it is really cool.
Yeah, and like we've said, it added a lot of strategy to it, and I mean,
For sure.
it's more like car racing, and it's cool. And like I said, I wish I could convince them to do it in motocross, but
Jump on our website now. We're starting a petition to get the Joker lane added. I'm just kidding. We don't have a website. But.
Sorry.
We could.
We could add this to our Canebrake snake bite segment.
Snake bite suggestions.
Canebrake
Canebrake comments.
We're not
we're
sure.
working on it.
We're working on it. Hey, while we're on that note, get those number plates with some good contrast for tomorrow. So when we're calling the live, we can
Absolutely.
call you out. We'll call you out if you don't have the right number
That's
plate
right.
on there, right?
Right.
You might
hard
get
to
called
see.
another name, right?
You might get
called
pretty
another
good
name.
chance, yeah.
Like,
I remember talking to
Who
Miss
is that
Jones
guy?
at Dred, and I was watching Miss Jones down there score, and there was a couple times she was like, I don't know who that was, and just moved because you can't see him. You got to keep going, So
Yep.
get legible number plates, guys. Don't be cool. I mean, be cool, but be cool where we can know who you are. So
We don't know the standard of cool, so just make your number plate where we can see it.
Jerseys
Yeah.
are good, yeah.
hey, Tim or Mark, you've got a super cool thing coming up. You've been doing it every year for a long time now. Did the container get shipped off? I mean, are we doing it? It's really happening?
yes. So the U.S. ATV motocross team is going to Czech Republic to compete. This will be the 6th time we've gone. It started in 2017. 17, 18, 19 and won them. 2021 we took off because of COVID. 22 and 23, of course, went back and won over there. So container leaves first part of August. The event is the end of September in the Czech Republic. A lot of exciting stuff there going on. The series or that event is now an FIM sanctioned event. So we're going to be going to more of the MXGP tracks. This year is going to be at Locket, which is west of Prague.
Sandy, hard pack.
You know what? It's a fast track. I haven't even looked at really the conditions of it yet.
Okay.
I've been too busy building bikes and
got other stuff going
to the races here in the U.S. But going to be more bigger track, similar to what we're used to. Tracks over there generally a little bit rougher because we're competing with the sidecars,
right.
cross. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a lot of work, but we're going to continue to do it. And
hey, Mitch and I actually volunteered. We'll come help. We just need a plane ticket.
Yeah, well, we do have a budget, and
and you're not in it.
Right.
Yeah.
The budget's getting close to being spent for this year.
Yeah,
And they slightly frown upon people riding in containers.
Yeah,
if you didn't know,
there's
this thing.
Don't advise
for a month.
Don't advise you getting in that container to go for a ride. But customs probably wouldn't like that too much. But at any rate, yeah, it's an exciting deal. Got a good team this year. Of course, Joel Hetrick, Bryce Ford, Brandon Hogue, and then we're taking Chad Weenan with us too. So he's
of course, yeah.
He's got to go. So it's.
So and who else will be on that? I know you're part of that, Joe. What is your role? What's the rest of the team?
I'm basically the team manager, but I get a lot of assistance from Harv Whipple. He takes care of a lot of the administration stuff.
Okay.
Getting all the licenses, rounding up a lot of the sponsorship stuff, doing all that stuff. So I take care of making sure that container gets loaded, get all the bikes in there.
Right.
Get the inventory done for that. But when we get to the event, he's the liaison between AMA and the FIM. And then, of course, each of the riders has their mechanics. And Jody Bateman from JB Racing is the crew chief. So there's a crew of about 20, 22 of us that go over there.
Gotcha.
And then usually have pretty good support group here from the U.S. Last year in Italy, I think we had close to 150 people with us.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah, it's fun. I don't know how many other supporters are going to be this year, but it's a cool deal.
I mean, it's really cool for those that kind of stay here, those of us who stay here on this side, the big pond, if you will, and just cheer you guys on as you represent us. It is like an incredible organization and a lot of moving parts for you guys to even get over there to compete in that race. I know Thomas kind of broke some of that down to me in the past, and it's really cool what you guys have put together to make that happen. Yeah,
you're 100% correct, Mitch. And there's a lot more than what most people understand. I mean, it's this whole idea of doing this thing came out or started back in 2017. Chad had talked to Harv about it, and they came to me and said, "Hey, we know you've raced over in Europe with Tim quite a bit. You've done the event there at Pont-Neuf, France. What do we need to go to Europe to win?" I said, "Guys, to go to Europe to win, you have to take everything with you because you're not going to get it in Europe, or if you are, it's going to be very difficult to get it." So, a bunch of us got together, bought a container, outfitted that thing, and we go over there with everything we need. Each rider has a bike that's completely ready to go when it leaves. They have 4 to 5 sets of tires, standard motocross stuff. And we take, of course, bigger tires if the race tracks become muddy or sandy. And then spare engines. It's unreal. But basically we ship about $500,000 worth of product in that container.
Yeah.
And as crazy as it sounds, it's almost as easy as shipping a box UPS. It's just bigger.
It's just bigger.
And
costs a little more, I would assume.
Yeah, it costs. It costs a lot. But, you get a hold of the shipping company and tell them where it's going, and
there you go.
The biggest thing is give them a list of the contents, and they make a carnet, and it goes over their show equipment, so it's pretty easy, and goes through customs, and away you go, and it's.
And that's one thing nice, like for this year and the past several years, is all the guys are on. on the outside looking in, you think all the guys are on Yamaha. That's great. You just send a bunch of Yamaha parts, but each of the guys has a little bit different part here. And like Joel is a Walsh guy, whereas Brandon is a JB guy.
Yeah, Brandon's actually on music stuff.
Brandon's on music. Yeah. Bryce is on JB.
Bryce is on the JB stuff. Yeah,
so
correct.
3 different riders, 3 different components in combos.
Yeah. Correct. So, hey, you just take spare parts, and basically spare engine, spare A-arm, spare swing arm, spare linkages, spare shocks. But what we are able to do over there, the bikes are tech inspected as team bikes. So if you do have a failure with one that can't be ridden, God forbid, the competitor can jump on someone else's bike.
Oh, so that's nice. That's super handy.
That's one way we get it.
Right.
That's one reason we only take one bike for each.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some options there, But and at that point you just have to adapt, But hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah. How crazy would it be if you never want a failure, but one of the guys goes down, and so his machine goes down, so he's got to jump on another one, and you switch bars or comfort things that you could change real quick, and then he goes out there and he's like, well, this setup's way better, or
Well,
and then
that might stir up a lot.
Yeah,
okay, let's not speak that into existence. That would be a whole other animal.
Yeah. That would definitely be a whole other animal, and let's hope we don't have to do that.
Right? Yeah, don't want that to happen.
But it's good times though.
Well, hey, as we kind of we're running with dogs behind us. Yeah. We got the doors open.
We're having a great time,
Fleet of corgis going past us back here.
Like
a fleet of corgis. Yeah, a gaggle of corgis. I don't know what they're called.
How would you like to die? Not by a fleet of corgis.
Yeah.
All right. Not one of the ways I want to die.
Sorry. We're kind of going to wrap this thing up here. So, Mark, you've been in the sport a long time. You've seen a lot of amazing riders come up, some amazing riders under your tent. Eric, you've been around the sport a long time. You've got definitely a good pulse of what's happening here and now. Where do you think the state of TT racing is now? Is this the best it's ever been? It's like, oh no, it was not as good as the 70s or something, or 60s or 80s or
wow.
I don't know.
He just went there, didn't he?
Easy.
Super D will go there.
Where are you going, man?
I'm trying to go up,
he's
not
like,
down.
okay, Mitch is sitting in between me and Mark.
Yeah, I got a gap here.
I'm safe. Yeah. I'm not going to protect you, man.
Back in the 60s,
I'm going to back right up.
Yeah.
60s.
Back in the 60s,
we had
six-wheelers.
They were racing six-wheelers
here.
With
we had wooden tires and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, how do you guys? You've definitely got a pulse on sport. How do you think the sport is doing overall for TT racing?
I think it's growing. I mean, I look at the all-star, these youth all-stars, and I look at some of these classes that are just ginormous. There's going to be 30 in that class probably tomorrow.
Got to run an LCQ.
Or more.
Yeah.
So these kids are up-and-coming pros. So, I think this sport is continuing to grow.
Yeah.
The NEDT has some great leadership to get it where it's at. It's, 11 years I think they've been at it. So before that was AMA, EDT. It was big then. There was a lot of action then. I mean, traveled all over the country.
Eric, I would agree with you. I mean, your thumb is on the pulse of this thing a lot better than mine is because I can't come to all these. But from what I saw here today, I mean, there's a lot of competitors here, and this track always brings a lot of people, but it's definitely growing, in my opinion. 5-6 years ago, I think they were getting 350-ish. And I think by the looks of things here, you're going to have 500 riders. It's great. And to answer your question, when was the best year? I want to say probably 2005, 4 or 5, or to say 2004 to 2007. Before
I would agree.
Before the economy tanked, I think at that point they had 650 riders here. And it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, think of that, 650.
Well,
the 50th brought 550. I think it was.
No, the 50th there was 900.
Yes,
900.
900. But I mean,
50th.
Yeah,
906.
Yeah.
Wow,
it's official. 906. We have an official here that told us 906.
Wow.
About that.
So grandstanding official.
Whatever. I mean, but So the second biggest race here, I would say, was sometime in, 06. But then I got to think back, guys, when the three-wheelers were popular here, when you had Honda and Kawasaki here competing. There were a lot of darn three-wheelers here.
Yeah, think about it, like Team Kawasaki.
Yeah,
Team
Kawasaki
was here.
and full-on factory Honda. I mean, it was no joke, and that was led by Bruce Ogilvie, which his wife, believe it or not, was right here from Ashtabula. So
wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well, I think what you see over the years, like, it's not that I've sat and researched it, but just looking back, you have this ebb and flow. You know, you have kind of peaks and valleys as far as the number is concerned. But absolutely, you know, what's the future of this sport? Well, you look to the youth and amateur that are continuing to stick with it and race is going to keep a good number. You know, Sean Robinson said, if you look in the history of the pro class, there are many guys that go pro and they're only pro for a few years at most and kind of drop off. You know, not everyone is like Brad or Chucky who have continued to sustain a pro career like that. But, you know, youth, you just continue working forward. I was one of those. You know, I was one of those. I was only basically a season and 2.5 seasons in the pro class in TT. But, you know, working all the way through. 04, 07 would have been that time coming through the amateur ranks into the pro, but the factories were back in it. You had, you know, motorsport.com Honda that you had a 3-rider team. Yeah. And so for a youth rider or an amateur rider, it was like, oh, like I actually can do this for a living. I can have enough sponsors. And the sport's at a different state than it was at that point in time. But I'll say, you know, really what brings me back to it is just the family and the community. We highlight it so many times, like the relationship, Mark, that you and I have that goes way back, you know, of all the years that you helped us out. But, you know, you're a guy who's the USA motocross manager. Like, you're kind of representing our entire ATV community.
I don't know if you know this, but Mark's kind of a big deal.
He's kind of a big deal. You
I'm
know?
just a normal old guy, man.
Well, and that's what makes this sport different.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, the fact that, you know, I was just one time just a little hillbilly redneck from Arkansas
You
that
still
came up
are.
here and started. I still am. I've just gotten a little bit older. But would circulate laps, but, you know, can pick up my phone and talk to the guy who is representing all, you know, the very tip top of our sport. So I think that speaks a lot to what our sport has going on for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Mitch. And I'm just this guy who lived across the street here from Pine Lake. Well, I'm in this stuff, you know, but I just love doing what I do, and it's an awesome sport. And
That's
you know,
awesome.
you talk about the friendships, guys. I've got friends all over the world, you know, and I'm very, very fortunate. And I haven't done it by myself. I've had a lot of help from a lot of people. My parents were very supportive. Sherry's very supportive of me. I mean, Tim and I did a lot of great things, and Shane and I are great friends. I mean, it's just Wayne Meridian from PEP. I mean, he's the guy who put me in business. He told me I'd be crazy not to start a business when Tim won his first championship. Tom Burba from Pro Design. I mean, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that a lot of people don't understand, but it's a lot of fun, man. And like I said, got friends all over the world, and I can go just about anywhere and call somebody. And Cy Betchman lives in Australia. You know, he's been here to Pine Lake before. He's great friends with Tim and I. He's constantly bugging us to come over there, you know. Ian Fitch from New Zealand, and then just all the guys in Europe that we race with currently, and they just it's an awesome family. And not only is it just here at ATV Racing, but when you have been in it as long as I have, between NASCAR racing with Brian Robertson here, there's other guys that raced 3-wheelers with me and 4-wheelers as well that have worked in the NASCAR industry, NHRA racing, AMA Supercross and motocross. There's a lot of tight connections amongst all of us, you know, off-road truck racing, and it's unreal, you know. And I guess we're motorheads, we're going to call ourselves, you know. But and you know, there's a lot that happens, you know, and it's just cool, you know.
It really is. So Debbie and I were actually having this same sort of conversation yesterday, and she said, you know, when I used to send John and Matt off to races, she said, I knew if they were traveling through Kentucky and something happened, they're going to call Zach Willett. You know, because I was talking about, I can remember when Thomas and I were 15 and 16. He has a hardship, and I have a license, and our dads would send us in the big rigs. Just take off, you guys, we'll meet you there. And so we're traveling across the country and I, having a kid who's about to be 13, I'm like, that is absolutely insane.
I wouldn't let Ryder do that in a million years.
Right, exactly.
Get it, man.
But Mitch, look at the great opportunity that was, and how much you learned in a hurry, and the trust that your trust that T-Bone had in you and your mom.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got a lot of customers that have done the same thing, and I mean, Tommy Vossman, Bryce and Cody Ford, I mean, their mom and dad just send them on the road, and it's how many people can genuinely say they had those opportunities? Not very many.
Here's something else for you, Mark, and this is a guy you know well too, but like Rylan Johnson was a young, snot-nosed kid that I just wanted to pound in the ground because he was so – and I always thought he was just arrogant beyond belief, and he said, no, I was just confident because I knew I could do it. And I'm like, oh, that's a good point. He's one of those guys that just loves the sport, found a niche, and now is providing a living for his wife and his two
family.
Kids. And I'm like, that's all. Like anybody can do that.
But again, he's been in his whole life as well. His dad competed against some of the same guys I did on three-wheelers at Boyd, Texas.
Boyd, Texas. That's right.
It's just nuts, But
it's a weird. We were talking about this at lunch today at the White Turkey.
The White Turkey.
And we were saying racers are weird. It's just a weird, cool group of people. But if you're not in it, you don't really understand it. But if you're in it, you're like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
the best.
How many people look at you like you got three heads when you say, well, I'm going to drive to St. Louis, Missouri tonight. After you work 10 hours, and I mean, or wherever you're going,
Or I'm going to send my 13-year-old kid in a $100,000 rig, or see ya. Yeah, we'll meet you there.
See you there. Jump on an airplane to meet you. Or
right.
Better yet, put your toys into the shipping container, send them halfway around the world.
Amazing,
it's
amazing.
Crazy.
It's so cool.
Well, Super D, what did you say when we pulled in here? Because it was amazing, and I was telling someone else this. What did you say when we pulled in here?
We're really doing it.
Well, you always say we're really doing it because we're always really doing it.
You're gonna have to refresh me, man.
You said I'm alive again.
Oh, I said. Oh, we're at Pine Lake. Life makes sense again.
Life makes sense again.
I love being at the track, man. It's so much fun just to connect, hang out. I mean, here we're just four goober heads sitting up here talking about racing, man.
Speak for yourself.
Well, it's cold in here though.
Yeah,
put my coat on. Huh?
Yeah, it is.
My breath. Well, hey, we're getting ready to wrap this up. We're an hour into it, man.
Hey, and we've got some people that have endured.
Yeah,
made their way
stuck
through
it out.
So why don't we take just some? If anybody wants to, anybody want to ask us just anything about life, we'll answer whatever.
Yeah, got one right
Come
here.
on, Trey, man.
All right, Trey.
Wait, come up here, Trey, man. Speaking to the microphone. Come up here and speak. Yeah.
Speak into this.
That way we can all hear.
So when you had your 230, did Jake big ball it? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Sorry. In the audience is Jake Turner, and Trey Man's wanting to know if
I think the
Jake
limit was
250,
250, so we did big board a little bit.
Hey, so that's what's going on in the comment. Every time someone posts a picture, Jake will be like, "Is it a big bore?" He's always big boring it. That's awesome.
I love it, Trey. That was a good one, buddy.
That was a good one.
What else?
It was out the side, man. I hated that thing. Out the side, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't go front or to the back. It was out the side.
It's so messed up. So messed up, yeah.
230. I've got a 230 story
It was
for
orange
you.
originally, and then in '88 it came out with a blue frame, so we went blue and white. Yeah, I didn't like the orange.
No.
All right. Any other questions? The question was, we are men, but
From Mr. Geist.
Oh man,
I just had to. The opportunity was there. Yes, us boys are racing the 90 race tomorrow, and we, yeah.
that'd be nice.
So,
nope.
Okay,
I'm out.
so we do have a commitment with one other rider, Mr. Kiefer Moore, but everyone else is flaky. Mr. Harold Goodman, this is me. I'm going to be back. You're not going to see this probably ever, but I'm coming back tomorrow to ask you again. So maybe Mr. Harold Goodman. But
Dude, that would be. I could be on a team with Harold
That'd be all
Goodman.
right. That'd be awesome.
yeah. So I
The ultimate team USA.
Kiefer was like, so Kiefer comes over and he's like, he's going to ride with us. And he was like, you think Harold would? And I said, I don't know. I'll go ask him. And Harold was like, no. And I was like, you need to think about it a little bit. I'm going to come back
Sleep
and ask
on it.
you again tomorrow. You know,
Come on,
sometimes
Harold.
sleep on it. But yes, we're ready to ride on actually a machine that a lady in the crowd's got for me, right? I'm in.
Yeah.
We're in. Okay. Is this thing? Is it? Oh, perfect. We'll race whoever. Hey, but have you got all the mods? Like, is this thing fast? Kiefer was asking me. Trey. Oh. Okay.
That's
so,
right. Pink
Big
wire
boy.
mod.
It
Pink
sounds
wire
like
mod?
we're getting sabotaged. What? Trey Man says we're getting sabotaged.
All I need to know is
All
pink
right.
wire mod. Does it have the pink wire mod?
Okay.
Oh yeah. All right. Pink wire mod. We're golden. We're golden. We're golden. Hey,
You boys are
you
making
get us some
sure
Dragon
that
fuel
we're
for
on,
this
that
thing?
we're
Some
on a
Dragon.
good machine. Okay.
Yeah.
Mark's going to sponsor us. Or sorry,
make sure.
Eric's going to sponsor us 10 pails of Dragon fuel. Is that a commitment?
Dragon
Great.
fuel.
Yep, 10
I don't
pails.
know about 10 pails, but
That's what
maybe
I
a
heard.
gallon or two. Daniels, he's always all about the 10 pails.
Well, no, earlier it was one, wasn't it?
No,
And
he
now
said 10.
He said 10 from the jump.
Yeah.
Man, this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll go through it.
Those dual injector TRX 90s, man, they suck the fuel. That's for sure. Awesome.
It's going to be a good time tomorrow night, though.
Yeah.
It's
a lot
going
of fun.
All right. Man, this has been a lot of fun. Mark, Eric, got any other
Thank you.
final comments or people you want to throw under the bus or any jokes, riddles, anything?
Oh man, I think we need to come up with a theme. We just come off of the RNC, so they had "Make America Great Again." How about "Make ATV Racing Great Again"? What do you think? Let's do that.
Yeah,
all
I agree on
around.
that one.
Let's do it all around.
Let's do it like
And
that. Man,
yeah, get the 750, 600, 750, whatever it is. We can get to ATV MX same way.
Okay. Sounds
Incredible.
Get it up there.
I'm
I
always
love it.
down for a party.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Always. Well, hey, that sounds good.
Legends race. Oh, you want us to mention the Legends race?
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is coming out on a Tuesday. We're recording. It's always confusing. We're recording on Friday, coming out on Tuesday. But, yeah, Briarcliff's having the Legends race this weekend. So tune in. You can catch it somewhere. Racer TV.
They all been
Hey.
practicing. I've been hearing them.
Yeah.
It's right in my backyard.
Mark, I'm sure you said you had Shane at the shop. And,
I shouldn't have said that. What?
Oh,
hey, nobody listens to this podcast.
it's okay. Don't worry about
love
it.
it.
Listen,
All of
you
our
always-
listeners are sitting
Yeah,
right
this
here,
is
so it's
all
good.
30,000 listeners are
Yes.
just right here in this room. No
Dude's
big
been
deal.
training harder than he did when he raced.
I love it.
Yeah. You got to win.
Hey, and Doug Eichner's coming, and one of the
I
Chris
love it.
Bithell, GNCC guy.
Yeah. Dana Creech.
Dana
is
Creech.
coming.
I didn't know Dana was coming.
Fun fact: Dana, the first enclosed trailer we ever had, Dana, Greg Little, and Keith Little signed the inside of our trailer because Dana was like, "I want to sign something big," and my brother was like, "Well, come sign the inside of the trailer," and gave him the biggest Sharpie I've ever seen, and he signed the wall of our trailer.
Incredible.
Yeah, Dana, what a guy.
On the Nax racing
Yep.
machines. Those were the dream machine back in
Oh,
the day
dude.
when I was young.
You know what the key was, though? The key machine ever was Baldwin power plant, not just because you're sitting here, but it was a Baldwin power plant, JBA arms, PP shocks. Back in the
And-
day, if you had that, you were guaranteed to win.
Absolutely, and that's not the
Dialed.
first time that he said that.
Sparks
I
exhaust,
can promise you. He
Sparks
said that
motors.
like 4 or 5.
JB?
This is 4, 5, 6 episodes that he's alluded.
I'm
to
just
this,
saying, if
'cause it's
someone
the
wants to
truth.
drop it off at the house, I live at.
How many
Green-
riders are they up to for the Legends race? Do we know?
I think
Thousands.
In the 20s. No.
Yeah,
I
20,
mean,
25 or 26.
Yeah, 25. Yeah.
25, 26. Something like that.
It's going to be a big deal. Briarcliff on Saturday with not only pros, so you'll be busy with Bryce's machine. That is a big work day there for you.
Oh,
for sure.
yeah. Just another day at the office.
Another day at the office, he says. Yeah, it's a big day for you. And then the Legends race, it's gonna be a big deal.
It's gonna be a big deal. Well, hey man, that sounds fun. Let's end it right there.
Yeah. So, usually the way we close these things out is say a little prayer. So I'm gonna pray and we'll close this thing out. All right. Father God, just thank you for everything you allow us to do. God, we thank you for this community that just loves ATV racing. God, I pray for safety for all the riders and families and track workers this weekend, that you'll just be present with us, God. Again, I just thank you for the opportunity to do this podcast and the great connections that you've given us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Hey, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.